Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather, and it's great to see you on this Wednesday. Hope things are well. We have the first named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. Tropical Storm Arthur has formed right along the Texas coastline. We're going to get into all the widespread impacts expected and, of course, the Caribbean and the Bahamas forecast as well. If you got a question, let me know in the comment section below. But let's get started with the first named storm. Arthur developed earlier on this Wednesday. The center of circulation isn't even fully offshore. This is an elongated system along what we call an inverted trough, which goes up towards the central portions of Louisiana. So all those brighter, higher cloud tops on our infrared satellite imagery are well offshore. But of course, that doesn't mean we're not going to have some battering storms and some heavy winds and rain along the Texas and Louisiana coasts over the next 12 to 24 hours. So let's first of all cross off the first name of the Atlantic hurricane season. Arthur is done. Bertha is next. But the question will be, of course, how long down the season will we get the second named storm? In an El Nino in June, this is exactly climatologically where we would expect to see a storm developing here in portions of the Gulf. So let's talk about what's happening right now with the storm. We have already seen some winds pushing 60 miles an hour along Galveston Bay. So already some inundation of some extremely strong winds. We're going to get a storm surge along the North Texas coastline and portions of Louisiana. Let me show you the big impacts expected. Then we're going to break those down impact by impact. Winds right now are 45 miles an hour, but there will be some higher gusts, as you already saw. Widespread rain, 5 to 10 inches, but locally up to 20 inches of rain. The storm surge along the Louisiana coast could get up to 4 feet, but again, several feet are possible of a storm surge along North Texas coastline. Those heavy rains will then spread across the southeast United States for the week ahead. And we may not be done with Arthur. Yes, by the weekend, Arthur could emerge off the U.S. East Coast and potentially try to redevelop. So those are kind of the overall impacts that I expect. We look at the visible satellite imagery. Again, we can clearly see that the full center of circulation isn't even offshore. Your higher cloud tops are well offshore. That's going to spread the heaviest rain back into Louisiana. So that's good news for places like Houston, but bad news for Louisiana and other areas back to the north and to the east. So as we get into the individual impacts, the next thing I want to talk about is this just Arthur's first act? And what I mean by that is when we look at the European model surface pressures, you're going to see a center of circulation hold together over Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas, and potentially re-emerging early in the weekend off the United States East Coast and potentially getting even stronger. Now, the European ensembles have always been the most robust with Arthur, but was one of the models that made it a tropical storm, and we got that. So we can't discount the fact that we can actually have an emerging system this weekend that gets stronger. Interests in places like Bermuda need to keep a really close eye on whether that low-level center can hold together. But regardless of that, again, the impacts are going to be felt very widespread across the United States Southeast. Let's start with the advisories that are currently into play right now. So you have tropical storm warnings that are in effect right now. Goes from south of Galveston to the Morgan City area of Louisiana. So tropical storm conditions are expected along the coast. Anywhere that you guys see these greens to dark greens, these are going to be your flood watches and warnings. Anywhere you see maroon colors would be flash flood warnings that are currently in effect. But I want you to notice that already the flood watches extend as far north and east as Atlanta, Georgia. So we are going to see some significant rain move along our path here, and especially east of the center of circulation. When we look at the rainfall for you right now, and again, I'll put this into motion for you guys. Drier air out west, so we're going to limit the potential for the rain. Houston back down towards Corpus Christi, Galveston area, Beaumont, Texas included. That doesn't mean we're not going to get some significant downpours and we couldn't see some problems with some flooding, but I think the most significant opportunity for the flooding rains is going to be east of that area. Now again, we've had a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust in Galveston, so storm surge will be a factor as the winds get pushed back inland as well. But for places like Morgan City and Baton Rouge and New Orleans, eventually Hattiesburg, Jackson, Mississippi, and yes, even towards Montgomery, Pensacola, Florida, even up towards Atlanta, Georgia, All of this tropical moisture moves in, very breezy, blustery conditions as well, but the flood threat will be the primary problem here in the days to come. Looking at the excessive rainfall potential, in red is the highest threat. So you can see well north and east of the actual center, and that flood threat gets cut off pretty quickly when you get back west of the center of circulation. So again, more concerned about the storm surge along the North Texas coastline than the 4, 8, 6, 4, 8, 12 inches of rain or even higher there. When we look at the rainfall potential from the European model, again, widespread 5 to 10 inches of rain, maybe locally up to 20. There is a bullseye in portions of Mississippi of over 20 inches of rain on the European model. Most areas are obviously much under that, but you get 4 to 8 inches of rain, you're going to get some flash flood issues in these areas. And again, towards Houston, much lower amounts. We'll keep an eye on how much of this can spread into portions of East Georgia, northern Florida, and South Carolina, but that should be the path of the heaviest rainfall over the next 5 days. Here's the storm surge outlook from Galveston Bay to Morgan City, 2 to 4 feet. You get back down south of there, of the Galveston Bay area, 1 to 3, and then from Morgan City towards Grand Isle in the mouth of the Mississippi there, coastal Louisiana, a 1, 2, 3 foot storm surge. So that's the other issue that's going to come in with the inundation of water across the area. So friends in this area, make sure that you stay weather aware the next couple of days. Again, not expecting there to be much additional development out of Arthur, right? We're not expecting the storm to get much stronger. 45-mile-an-hour winds sustained are likely to be its peak, but there will be some gusts that will be higher than that, especially on the northern and the eastern sides, and the big flash flooding potential that'll come along for the ride. So I'm going to be monitoring that situation for you here as we go through the remainder of the rest of the week. But the next big headline is that flood risk that I just mentioned. We can also look at the GFS model real quickly as well for total precip, just to kind of give you guys an idea. Again, notice that everything as far as the potential for the heaviest rainfall is likely to be well east of where Arthur is right now as more moisture comes back out of the Gulf. And the GFS model, where the European was talking about Mississippi, is trying to paint on some of the heaviest rainfall, western panhandle of Florida, South Alabama, Montgomery, back down towards Mobile. Those are the spots that could get 6 to 12 plus inches of rain. So the bottom line is, regardless of model, we're looking at the potential for widespread flooding across the southeast in association with our first name tropical storm. Okay, friends, let's get into the rest of the forecast here. I'm going to bring on our 5-day forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. You'll see those. We'll get into more marine forecasts as well. Next weather headline is going to be some more active weather in the Caribbean. We're beginning to see tropical waves have a little bit more punch to them right now and producing some gusty winds and the opportunity for some rain. Maybe you've seen some of that on this Wednesday. If you have, let me know in the comments section below. What do you say we start off in the Lesser Antilles? Once again, fresh breezes out here. We have additional marine warnings. In addition to all of the Arthur information scrolling at the bottom of your screen, you're going to find a lot of marine advisories across the area for today. Barbados is back under a small craft warning. Other areas, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines as well. Fresh winds are coming back in. The opportunity for a couple of passing showers here, but it's certainly kicking up the swells in the eastern side of the Caribbean. Port of Spain has had a nearly 30-mile-an-hour wind gust for today. St. Lucia has as well. It's a little bit quieter up here in the Leeward Islands. Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Bart's, and Anguilla has had a beautiful day for today. Mainly dry conditions. Same situation over the Virgin Islands. Winds are fresh out of the east. Christiansted, St. Croix, St. Thomas, San Juan, Ponce, Aguadilla, all in that 25 to 30-mile-an-hour wind gust range. It's not about the rainfall for today. Look, there could be a couple of scattered showers in the western sides of Puerto Rico, but there is still the fire weather threat for southern and the western sides of the island, so keep that in mind. Trying to get a couple of showers to develop across portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, but it's been relatively quiet for today as well. A little bit of a breeze towards Puerto Plata. We're beginning to see some tropical moisture stream into the central sides of the Caribbean. Again, if nothing else, it's kicking up the winds. We continue to have the large wave and strong wind advisory over Puerto Rico. We're trying to get some showers to move across the ABC Islands. My friends in Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, let me know in the comment section below if you've seen some of those passing showers today. It's been very breezy. Willemstad, Curacao has had a 30-plus-mile-an-hour wind on this Wednesday. Again, we'll follow the tropical moisture up towards Jamaica. or if nothing else, we've had some cloud coverage for today. And again, you guys live across Jamaica, let me know if you've had a spotty shower. If nothing else, again, some building cloud coverage across that area. Back out towards the west right now, we continue to see the Central American gyre elevate shower and storm chances over Panama and Costa Rica. It has moved up towards Nicaragua as well. The East Pacific has been a little bit quieter as far as potential tropical development over the last week, and that should continue for the rest of the week. We're not expecting anything right off the Pacific coast of Central America. This has led to a pretty nice forecast across Quintana Roo on over towards the northern sides of Central America, so Cancun and Cozumel, Tulum, back down towards Belize City, Roatan, Utila, and Guanaja. We've had very lovely conditions. If you guys have been looking for a little bit more rain, not expecting it anytime soon. Same situation for our friends across the Bahamas. Things are looking pretty good. Look, we're going to pick up a few isolated showers and storms from time to time. Here is a kind of preview of that. Look at the thunderstorms developing over Andros at the hour. They are localized, but that is some significant thunderstorm activity that is developing over the island right now. We'll see if it pushes any farther off towards the east. But likely it's going to stay and then push back off towards the west. So I'm not expecting much more in the way of rain for the rest of the islands. This is very localized right now. Could see a few streaks of showers and storms develop places like Exuma and Long Island. Can't rule out Eleuthera and New Providence getting a few showers and storms, but right now, the main game in town for the Bahamas is right over the Andros area. Fresh breezes as well in Bermuda for today. They've had a small craft warning, and they've seen some winds that have kicked up to around 40 miles an hour. So friends, we're going to get into the rest of the forecast as we do so. Thanks for taking a quick second and hitting that like button. Again, you got a question about the forecast, I appreciate you. Drop it in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. We want the latest forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, and of course, all tropical information in the Atlantic Basin. You have found your home. Let's get into how the rain is going to be developing over the next 5 days. We'll bring on our marine forecast as we do so. So let's go out to that wide perspective right now and then show you that model. So let me bring that up. Give me just 1 second here. We're going to go out over the next 5 days and then loop that up and show you how things are going to be playing out. Now, the first thing I want to mention is I do anticipate our next couple of tropical waves in the series that have been in the Atlantic Basin to move a little bit farther north in latitude. These are still not our tropical waves of August, September, and October. They're still fighting some Saharan air to the north, but I do expect there to be a little bit of moisture to lift far enough north to give some rain chances, improving rain chances into the eastern side of the Caribbean. Obviously, the farther south that you live, higher rain chances will persist. So Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, T&T, your rain chances should be slightly elevated as we get towards the weekend with this next slug of tropical moisture. We've had some decent downpours in this area the last couple of days. They've been a little bit more isolated, but just a little bit more tropical content to the atmosphere has produced some of those scattered showers, and I expect the rain to be a bit more widespread in these areas. Not expecting much of a change north of there with more isolated rain than anything else. The fresh easterlies continue. There's still a lot of wind shear again in El Nino. Western Atlantic Basin, Caribbean has a really tough time throughout the season, especially in June, to really begin to develop any tropical systems. Again, water temperatures have to be around 80 degrees. You'll see at the bottom of your screen, we're creeping closer to that in a lot of areas, but not a lot of rain for Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Save St. Eustatius, St. Bart's over the next few days. Same situation for the Virgin Islands, Anegada, Roadtown, Virgin Gorda, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, Vieques, and Culebra. A couple of passing showers possible for San Juan. Ponce will remain mainly dry. Same thing for Arecibo. We'll see a few scattered showers over Hispaniola. We'll favor the Dominican Republic side, but over towards Port-au-Prince, can't rule out a couple of passing showers. Nothing extremely concentrated over the next few days. Gets into some of the higher terrain. Of course, we always got to watch out about lower level flooding with the mountainous terrain of Hispaniola, but right now most of that shower activity should be more limited in variety. Same situation for the ABC Islands. We've had a couple of passing showers the last few days. I hope you got some of that. Still could see some more rain on your Thursday, but Friday into the weekend will likely spell some quieter conditions there. Some elevated seas will return to that area as well, so boaters be aware of that. Not expecting the large wave and strong wind advisory to go anywhere across Jamaica. Am anticipating a little bit better chance for a couple of showers towards the end of the week. You'll see at the end of this loop, we'll get a little bit more in the way of some rain trying to sneak back into the area here. So hopefully a few more showers and storms. Southwest side of the island, places like Treasure Bay, Savile Lamar, on over towards Negril. Can't rule out a couple of showers over Kingston as well. And of course, Montego Bay could catch one of those passing showers. But as far as anything concentrated, I'm not expecting it. Also expecting there to be more significant rain, Panama, Costa Rica. Central American gyre is still into play, but these showers and storms are moving every day. They're not sitting over one spot, so we haven't had flood warnings the past couple of days. And, you know, we might add up enough rain to cause some problems down here. I'll be monitoring that situation for any flood potential. You get into the northern sides of Honduras, San Pedro Sula, La Ceiba, the Bay Islands, the coastal Guatemala and Belize, and your rain chances begin to fall off a bit as well. Not a bad forecast for Cancun and Cozumel. Again, not expecting anything concentrated the next several days from Grand Bahama all the way down towards Grand Turk. A couple of isolated showers are possible here. Heat advisories are still in effect for some islands of the Bahamas. Again, you'll find that information at the bottom of your screen. Small craft warnings continue for Bermuda, and that's the spot as whatever is left of Arthur comes off of the U.S. East Coast Friday or Saturday. Whether it consolidates or not, again, into a low-level center, it is going to spread more tropical moisture back over Bermuda, and that's a spot that I think, regardless of redevelopment, gets more rain because of the system as we get into the weekend. So, significant wave heights. Obviously, we're going to have a storm surge northwest Gulf. Elevated sea conditions, central western sides of the Caribbean. Not a bad boating forecast for the Bahamas. We've had some fresh winds return to the Lesser Antilles. You'll see, again, some marine issues there. Notice as we push towards the weekend and beyond, we are likely to see through the end of June, for the most part, fresh easterlies continue through the central and the western Caribbean, elevating those sea conditions in some spots. Southern coastlines of DR, Haiti, the ABC Islands, and Jamaica would be included in that. Look at the rainfall totals over the next 5 days. Again, outside of what we're talking about with Arthur, you'll look towards the lower latitudes for the better rain chances here. Redevelopment of some good rain towards the Windward Islands. Barbados could get into some better rain chances coming up down towards Trinidad, Tobago, and Grenada. Hopefully we'll get some good showers over the islands there. Up the coastline towards Nicaragua, but not much rain farther north than that. And just spotty rain for the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Hispaniola towards the Bahamas. And we'll see how much more rain could be produced out of what we're going to get from Arthur coming up. So what is next on the board for us here? Back out to the broad perspective again. We'll continue to monitor some moisture in the central Caribbean that'll elevate the sea conditions with the brisk winds. Obviously, all eyes will then be on Arthur as to how this will evolve in the flooding rains that'll be moving across this region. Again, this deeper convection, once it starts to move on shore, as Arthur Center pulls inland, that's where I expect those areas east of the center to really get battered with the most significant rain, wind, and potential for the storm surge as well. Friends, I'm out of time. I do appreciate you making Meteo Mundo a part of your daily routine. Thanks for hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel as well. I'll be monitoring the situation with Arthur and the rest of our forecast, and I'll see you tomorrow with the latest. Till then, take care.